This podcast is brought to you by eBizradio, the place to go if you want to know about the world of business. For daily podcast and article uploads, go to eBizradio.com or give us a follow on Twitter at eBizradio Global. My name is Nick Snow, and joining me for an edition of BizWires is Guy Stehlik, founder of Bon Hotels. Guy, thank you very much for taking the time to chat to me. Of course, the hotel industry, as we know, quite large, and I think to the general public, hotels are just something that exists. It's kind of just there, you know, people stay in them when they go on holiday, and they don't really think too much about it. But I imagine there's a whole lot more to it than most people do think. So once again, thank you very much for joining me. And I think let's start at the beginning. What led you to found the group of Bon Hotels?
Well, thanks for having me, Nick. It's great being on your show. Well, I'm what's commonly called a hotel brat. Okay, my father and my mum emigrated from Europe when I was a little picky, and moved to South Africa to both work in hotels. And from a very young age, I was introduced to the industry through him. Obviously,
right.
The kind of hours that one works in the hotel business, you know, you've got a couple of options as a family, or to try and be a family man, either bring your kids to work or not see your kids.
Yes.
At all. From a very young age, I've been exposed to the industry, and during school holidays, during varsity vacs, and so on and so forth. You know, during weekends, growing up as a kid, working in the hotels. So it's very much in my blood. But a little bit more specifically, your question in terms of doing my own thing.
Yes.
I came up to the corporate world. I worked for a number of hotel groups before I started Bon Hotels. And I think the biggest thing is I'm actually too vinchat to work for anyone else. If the truth be known, in cheek. But I'm very much my own kind of man. I'm a self-made man. I battled to take instruction from anyone else. And with that in mind, I've really always wanted to do my own thing. But it's part that one needs. You know, if one wants to be an entrepreneur or start a business, you've got to pay the school fees and buy the tickets.
You do.
That's what I've done.
So you really just came from it. I've seen how it's done. I watched my family do it for years and years and years, and I just feel as though I can improve, and I just feel as though there's something I can offer that's not currently out there.
Well, exactly. I mean, I'm not even saying anything that's not out there. I mean, I think the secret of entrepreneurship is to try and differentiate yourself from your competitors, and you can do that very subtly. But yes, what we do ourselves is we take what we know works, and we add our own twist in it. And in many ways, just those little twists become quite big differentiators in the end.
Yes, absolutely. So are we talking things like folding towels into swans? Go a little bit further than that.
Yeah. Well, it's like taking things like mobile apps. The big international hotel groups these days, your Sheratons and Marriotts of the world, have got applications on smartphones and mobile devices. And I've always wondered why the domestic hotel groups haven't done anything like that, and they really haven't.
Yes.
So it's really looking at the things that the big hotel groups are doing, and trying to add your own twist to it more cleverly than they can do. So we're going to be launching our app in the next month. It's going to be quite revolutionary here in South Africa to be able to check in away from the airport, to be able to use your smartphone as a key instead of having been issued a key card, and to order room service via SMS. All the things that many of the youngsters today are demanding.
So you kind of trying to proof your hotels. You kind of say, well, we're in the technological age. People are used to looking at their smartphones. People are used to using phones for everything. Why just because they're leaving their house different?
Exactly. Look, to be frank with you as well, we try not to become too clever. Okay, in our industry, we believe that you've got to get the basics right all the time. Don't try and be too spectacular. Don't try and I'd rather be spectacularly average than spectacularly up and down.
Yes.
And if one tries to stick to the basics and try and get the basics right all the time, then one is immediately going to differentiate oneself from the competitors, because in very few cases in the mid-market hotel space in South Africa does one get those basics being fulfilled all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
At the 5-star level, I would like to believe that they're getting that right. but at the mid-market level, although we have fantastic, probably the best 3-star hotels in the world here in South Africa.
That's brilliant.
I think there's certain things that we really need to improve on. And one of those things is getting the basics right every single time.
Yes. Now, I've been very privileged to stay at various different hotels. I was in Dubai where I stayed at a 5-star, and then I've been in Nigeria where I stayed at a 4-star. But apparently, for Nigeria, that 4-star was like it was amazing. However, when you're coming from Dubai and staying in a 5-star, there's a very big disparity. So when it comes to different countries, are there different standards? Because if Nigeria was supposed to be a 4-star, if it was in Dubai, it probably wouldn't have even gotten a 1-star.
Well, exactly. And I think if one has to start here in South Africa, I mentioned earlier that we've definitely got some of the best 3-star hotels in the world, and we believe in the mid-market space. I'm not saying that we would never invest in 5 stars. I just think that there's an oversupply of 5-star accommodation in Cape Town and South Africa in general.
We need affordable.
And, we believe that the affordable space, but really, really excellent 3-star hotels with 4-star facilities and great service, 5-star service, is a model that we aspire to. And with that in mind, if one has to look back, why have we got such good 3-star hotels here? I mean, if we had to look at the recession in 2008, a lot of companies started scaling back. Their executives weren't allowed to fly business class. They cut back on the Group S, luxury car stuff. And then they certainly cut back on 5 and even 4-star hotels. And the bigger hotel groups in South Africa were very well positioned to take up that business. And even though the upturn in the economy, we've got such fantastic 3-star hotels here that one couldn't really even justify now that the upturn was taking place, to be able to allow executives and our business people to be able to stay in 4- and 5-star hotels again. So in South Africa, fantastic 3-star hotels, but that doesn't necessarily translate in Europe. You can stay in Italy or in Rome in a 3-star hotel that wouldn't even be a 1-star hotel over here.
Right.
In London, same story. In Germany, same story. America, same story. In Australia, lesser so. And in Dubai, lesser so. And in the East, lesser so.
Does it really?
There are huge disparities.
Right. Does it really relate to the standard of living within the country and what is almost expected in a normal home, and then translating that into what you'll find in a hotel?
Well, I think it's got a lot more to do with supply and demand. If your demand features are a lot higher, it stands to pretty good reason that your hotels, your less mid-market, your more mid-market hotels, don't necessarily have to aspire to greatness.
Yes.
So I think it's got more to do with that. Where you have a little bit less demand, there's obviously more competition, and the standards, the standards have to follow.
So, in terms of South African standards, if we can chat a little bit about hotels here. A lot of people I actually see are now able to live in hotels just because rent-wise, especially in somewhere like Cape Town, it actually works out.
Well, I think you're watching too much, or you're following Two Oceans vibes a little bit too much. Look, there are sectional title hotels. Sectional title hotels basically mean that you can buy a hotel room as an investment and live in it and obviously rent it out. Whether one can live in a hotel, I haven't heard of too many of those kind of occurrences apart from Richie Rich and a couple of maybe the Hilton system. But no, I'm not too aware of that, to be frank.
Right. Do you think it's something that perhaps South Africa could open its market to, especially for those guys who do travel between cities quite often for business?
Yeah. Look, I think what's definitely emerging is the apart hotel, and I think that probably answers your question a little bit more. If we're talking about a traditional hotel with restaurants and all the bells and whistles, 20 square meter bedroom, those kind of, the business model is typically not for long stay, but there are definitely long stay hotels. That long stay mega trend is starting to come through. Executives here on business for a couple of months. So we're starting to see that in Sandton. We're starting to see that in Cape Town to a degree. And it definitely is something that we're interested in. And there's a hotel group taking the market by storm in Johannesburg in this particular market. It's an apart hotel concept, and they're doing a very good job of marketing towards those expats and executives.
Brilliant.
For a few months.
Brilliant. So is that somewhere where you might take your hotel group?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'd be looking for those kind of opportunities here, and in Cape Town in particular, and in Sandton and Rosebank and Sunny Hill in Johannesburg. We're looking at opportunities right now, in fact.
Fantastic. So your current opportunities, obviously, that you're looking for. Tell us about some recent openings you may have had and the future plans you do have to emerge from there.
Sure. Well, we've just bought 2 hotels. The one is Shelley Point on the west coast, which is quite a challenging market because it's quite dependent on the the conference market and the leisure market. We believe that the successful hotels are the ones that have got a very, very strong corporate base. So where business people are typically staying between a Sunday night and a Thursday night. And if you don't have that market or that business, you're generally in trouble as a hotel.
Right.
But we're very excited about that. It's right on the beach in St. Helena Bay. It's a very, very popular weekend and conference destination. We just bought that one. We just acquired the Riviera Hotel just outside Johannesburg. Also a very strong conference market for that particular hotel, but also a very strong corporate market, which is great. We are entering Nigeria. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll be announcing our presence in Nigeria, which we're very excited about.
Wonderful.
That's going to be hotels in Lagos and in Abuja. But not in the north because of the fundamentalism activity up there.
Yes, unfortunately so.
So we're going to cover our bases in Abuja and in Lagos. And there's lots of opportunity for us as well in Botswana. We're very aggressively chasing down 2 opportunities in gaps. Another opportunity in Namibia. And obviously covering our bases in Durban and some of the more secondary cities and towns in South Africa. Unsexy places, I hate to say, like Sasolburg and Secunda. That's where lots of opportunity funding is. We're going to be moving into announcing our presence in a very small little dorpie, but with a huge, with some very exciting economic activity taking place.
I see.
Very soon. So there's a lot going on.
So you're strategically placing yourselves quite nicely. So very soon we'll be seeing lots of Bon Hotel Group hotels popping up all over the place.
Well, we've made a strategic move not to grow too quickly. That's been the failure of quite a few other hotel groups in South Africa. Hotel groups that have taken on too many hotels, or they've taken on hotels that they knew that they couldn't add value to.
Right. And
taken them on anyway. And, they've given hotel management companies in this country a pretty bad name. So, there are many disgruntled hotel owners out there, as a result of what some of the hotel groups have done over the years. So we're going to take it very slow. Our growth is going to be organic.
Right.
Our head office and infrastructure will be in proportion to the growth of the number of hotels that we bring into the portfolio.
Right. Yes.
And it's going to be steady, but and not too fast, no.
So you're saying that some of the other hotel groups, they were just aggressively taking over hotels just purely for market share?
Well, sometimes not for market share, but to pay the head office bills. Often head office environments head office costs can run away with you.
I see.
Careful. And before you know it, you've appointed, you've got staff calling out of the woodwork, you've got contracts and leases and so on and so forth in place, and you need to pay those bills.
I see.
You'll take the next hotel you'll take the next hotel management deal that comes through to you, whether you can add value or not. And 9 times out of 10, you can't add value to it, but you will continue with it just to try and pay the bills.
I see.
And that's with a bad name.
So you're doing it the other way. You're saying, you know what, this is how many people we need to run this business right now. No more, no less. Let's cover our business expenses. Let's make our profits. And then once you see that your profit is exceeding expectations, then you go, cool, now we're poised to take over the next hotel.
Exactly. I mean, first we've got to add value. And we've got to be adding value to our stakeholders, which is our owners, our guests, and our staff. We've got to be showing reasonable returns. Fortunately, we own most of our hotels, so we're not managing hotels on behalf of owners. But if we were managing those hotels on behalf of owners, we'd be having to show those owners a significant return on investment.
I see.
And if we won't be doing that, it would be remiss if we were going to try and take on other hotels
Right.
before being successful with them.
So another question to you, are you guys listed on the JSE yet? Because this sounds like something people would want to buy shares in.
I'd like to, we're definitely going to move that way. We're first consolidating our geographical, our geographical spread throughout South Africa. It's definitely something that we will look at in the next year or two. We're finalizing our BEE partnership at the moment. There's some major investment partners that are coming in, providing us with a little bit of ballast to be able to sign leases and provide guarantees and sureties to the banks for some of our new projects. So once we have a couple of those on board, then it's all done, all systems ahead.
Yes, absolutely brilliant. So finally, Guy, if people would like to get in touch with you, if people want to find out where your current locations are, and generally just find out more information about your hotel group, how do they do it? Emails, phone numbers, Facebooks?
Yeah, I mean we've got a very wide presence on the social media space. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, all over the show. But the best thing would be to come onto our website and then drop me an email. It's guy@bonhotels.com, and I'd be very happy to discuss whatever it is that you'd like to discuss with me.
Absolutely brilliant. And that brings us to the end of this edition of BizWise. Guy, thank you very much for opening my eyes, and I'm sure many other people's eyes, to the intricacies of what it is to be in the hotel business.